let's explore the behaviors required to form a highly cohesive team. By cohesive, I'm referring to a team that is obviously made up of many individuals, but that acts as if they are one body. And what's it take to do that? What are the behaviors that the individual team members need to engage in order for this to come about? Now, we're all familiar with teams, whether it's from watching sports or at work. We have to work with individuals and others all to get the same job done. And probably most of us have been in teams that were less than effective. And some of us have been lucky enough to be in highly effective teams. Many people think that the only thing that's required is that we have a common goal. I think on its surface, we know that that's probably not enough because every team we've participated on has probably had a common goal. The problem comes about when we disagree. How are we going to achieve this? Let's take my recreational hockey team as an example. My wife and I play an ice hockey league. We play once a week with about 13, 14 other guys and gals, and we have a common goal. In fact, we have two goals: have fun, win games. Frankly, we're only good at one of those. It's not winning games. We have a great time in the locker room, but when we get out on the ice, we disagree with what the right approach is to the game. Most of us didn't play hockey growing up, but even if we had, there are many different systems in any sport to achieve a goal. Different coaches have different approaches, different ways they want teams to work together. And we hear commentators all the time talk about the system. There's no one system. Our locker room, there's many systems. And the problem is we're all trying to do them at the same time. I'll give you an example. When the puck is in the defensive zone, it's in our zone, they're attacking our goalie, and our job is to get it out, hopefully turn it over to attack their goalie. What we want to do, and for those of you who aren't hockey fans, is the first thing we need to do is get the puck past the blue line. There's a blue line that defines our defensive zone. When the puck goes past that into what's known as the neutral zone, away from our goalie, the attacking team, the other team, has to then exit that zone completely before they can come back in with the puck. So we have some team members that think, oh, let's just dump the puck out, just find an open piece of ice, send it out, and then we can exit, attack them in the neutral zone, take the puck over, and attack them. The problem is what typically happens is we just turn it over to their defensemen, they exit, and then they come back in, and we get a few minutes of respite, a few seconds of respite, but we're really not controlling the puck. So others of us think, no, we need to control the puck on the way out. We need to skate it out, keep it on our stick, and get it to another one of our players so that we now have control of the puck. So we have disagreement with what we should be doing. So the puck comes into our defensive zone, somebody attacks it, and a different player might just send it out. Now we're all kind of like going, what's going on? Or maybe I get the puck and I start skating it out, and I'm looking for support to pass it to, and everyone just sort of stands around and watches me until I get attacked by the defenseman of the other team who takes the puck or tries to take the puck from me, and I have to battle my way through because I'm doing it alone. So when you're not cohesive, everyone's acting on their own and at cross purposes. So what are the elements that need to exist? Well, there's 5 behaviors we want to see. The first is open and clear communication. You hear a lot about psychological safety, which is a really fancy term for saying people need to be able to speak their mind. But it's not just about speaking their mind. In fact, in a 1992 study done on team effectiveness, they looked at what they call the ego factor. Right? In other words, how much did I take in as an individual, the input from other people of the team? So psychological safety would allow other people to tell me whatever it is they need to say. But if I'm too egotistical to listen to it and take it in, the teams are not going to be as effective. And this is actually a really excellent study that shows that teams that had lower egos, teams where people were more likely to listen to their teammates than less, they actually subsumed their ego a bit, were 3 times as effective than teams that made up of more egotistical individuals. In order for that information to get to you, you have to first have open communications. The ego speaks to the second requirement, and that's trust. I have to trust that your information is as good as my information, that your input is as good as my thought process, that your advice is as good as mine. If I distrust what you tell me over what I can conceive for myself, likelihood is I'm not going to listen to you. And so while open communication is great, psychological safety, right, would allow you to speak. That doesn't get the job done if I distrust what you have to say. So there has to be some mutual trust. The challenge is, how do you build that trust? One way is by being responsive. In other words, when you get information from others, do you respond to it in a timely fashion? Imagine for a second that somebody gives you what they believe to be a critical piece of information, and you blow them off. I'll consider that later. How much trust did you just gain from that individual? None at all. You probably lost trust. Right? By responding, even if that response is nothing more than analyzing that data and going, okay, here's why I think this isn't important right now, or what am I missing? Right now we're open communicating and I'm responding right away. Now the trust factor starts to go up because the other person goes, all right, they hear me. They're validating my input. Right? And now we're having a discussion about this, and my input will be taken into account. So open communication, responsiveness, accountability is the next one. By accountability, I mean we need to be accountable to our actions. Are we following the proper procedures? That's what accountability is about. It's about following processes and procedures. So responsibility is about doing things in a timely fashion. Are we responding? While accountability is doing things correctly. And so when we're accountable, we are following the proper procedures, or we're analyzing what we did to make sure that in the future we know what we did wrong. Now, we have to be accountable to three separate groups. First of all, we're got to be accountable to the team. We make a mistake, we own up. We have to, again, be responsive, own up quickly, gives the team a chance to correct the problem because we are one. That builds trust, by the way. Many people think when you own up to mistake, it builds distrust. It actually builds trust. The distrust comes from not owning your mistakes or not correcting them, meaning in the future, and you keep repeating the same mistake. You don't learn from your mistakes. When somebody doesn't learn from their mistakes, now we no longer trust they're going to do it right because the history shows that they haven't done it right in the past and they don't learn. It's that last part that's important. We all make mistakes, but have we learned from them? Have we corrected them? Not just this one time, but put the pieces in place, the processes in place. This is why it's about process to ensure they don't happen again. So we have to be accountable to the team. We have to be accountable to our stakeholders, which are our vendors and our clients and customers and prospects, all the people outside of the organization who also have some stake in this. So many times we see business teams of some sort who don't own a mistake to the client. Eventually it comes out, and now trust is completely gone. So we have open communication, right? We've come back to that by being accountable with open communication, being responsive. We're acting quickly and in a timely fashion. We're being responsible. We're being accountable to ourselves, to the team, to our stakeholders. And then we have to demonstrate trust. There are going to be times where our gut is going to tell us no. But our history is going to tell us, yeah, this person may be onto something, even if I don't believe it. We need to demonstrate trust. You know, again, I go back to my hockey team, and there's one particular player on that team who doesn't trust. If he's playing defense and he sees a forward out of position, a forward is an offensive player, he'll go play their position instead of his own. What he's really doing is abandoning his position, which now we don't trust him because he doesn't trust others. Sometimes we see forwards who do the same thing. Their job in the defensive zone is to be in a position to accept a puck from a defenseman so they can exit the zone. If they're down by the goal with everybody else, there's not anybody available to exit the zone, right? So when somebody plays somebody else's position, who's already there playing the position, what they're really saying is, I don't trust you. So when you do somebody else's job, not as a backup, not because they're not available, not because they're overwhelmed, because you don't trust they're going to get the job done right, you're actually hurting team cohesiveness. Clear communication, open communication, responsiveness, accountability, trust. The last thing we need is mutual support. By mutual support refers to what I was just talking about. When somebody else drops the ball, are we there to pick it up? That's not the time to hold them accountable. The play's going on. We don't want to say, you dropped the ball, you have to pick it up. That doesn't work. We want to hold people accountable after the fact. During the play, where you're trying to get the project done, when you're trying to get the sale made, you pick up the ball, you do what's necessary to back them up without making them look bad. You finish the play. Mutual support, open communication, responsiveness, accountability, trust. These are the hallmarks of cohesive teams. If you have any questions on how you can implement that with your team, feel free to reach out with me. We'll have a chat. Join the Radical Accountability Movement. The link's in the description. If these battle-tested team behaviors resonated with you, tap like so more leaders can find them. Subscribe for more strategies to build unstoppable teams, and tell me in the comments what topics or challenges you'd like to see me tackle.